Futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio. Look, I've been in the speaking industry for close to 30 years. And in the last little while, I've been following Maria Franzoni on her LinkedIn posts and Facebook, where she's talking about trends in the speaking industry. And she's providing a lot of practical advice and guidance to both new and old speakers and how to deal with this really crazy industry. Now, I mean, I've had the opportunity to go on some of the biggest stages in the world with 10,000 people in the room and have been at this for a long time, and I'm still trying to figure out the darn industry. But when I was reading one of her recent posts, I thought that I would share with her what I call my the 10 types of bookers who are trying to book speakers. I mean, this is a really weird industry. We've got a whole bunch of people who are looking at speakers. We've got a whole bunch of people who are representing speakers. We've got a whole bunch of people like myself who work with multiple groups of speakers, bureaus, and agents around the world. And the thing is, we've really seen it all through the years. So here's my list of what you as a speaker might encounter as you're trying to navigate your way through this really fascinating industry. At number one, you are going to run into what I call the body shoppers. This is an event professional, meeting professional, someone who's been in the industry for a long time. They might work for an association, a corporation. They're simply looking for a body to fill out their agenda. They don't care who it is. They don't care what the topic is. They don't care what the person is going to cover. They just need a body. They need someone to fill a slot in the agenda. And they might call you. And the thing is, they're probably fee limited. They have no budget. They have no money. They're going to offer you a lowball fee. And you're really going to be quite insulted by what they're offering you. You're going to encounter these folks. What happens here is that they're in a situation, they're going to try and convince you you should do the talk because it's really good for your profile. And that's not the way the industry works. That's not good for you. It's not good for the client. It's not good for the content that you're hoping to put together. And then what they do is they turn around and they become a big name booker. They're just simply looking for somebody who's a big name, who's going to draw people into their event. They don't care what they're going to talk about. They don't care what they're going to cover. They just, want to have somebody who's a big name to come into their event. And this implies that they're an Autopilot pro. They're sort of in a situation in which they're doing the same thing for their annual conference year after year. They've got a formulaic website. They've got a formulaic brochure. They've got formulaic content. And they keep doing the same thing over and over every single year. And they go through the same process when they're trying to look for a speaker. Somehow they find you, you have a song and dance with them, and you end up getting entirely frustrated. What happens here as well with these individuals is they become very hot topic focused. They do nothing to discover what it is that their association members or others who might be attending this conference really need in terms of content and topic and insight. They just go at the basis of what's the hot topic. That's the person we need. That's what we need to focus on this year. And if you're not in that hot topic space, I mean, they're not going to pay any attention to you. What happens here is that they're really going through the motions. And sometimes you have to appreciate that they're extremely discouraged by the process they're going through because they know they might put in some work and effort to find a speaker, but then they know that the CEO or someone upstairs or a senior executive has a friend who can do the talk, or knows somebody in the industry who will do it for free, or knows somebody at a client who will come in and do the talk without any preparation. And so after talking to you, they'll say, sorry, we found someone else to do the talk for us. In this situation, you end up with clients and people who are burned and hurt by their experience of working with speakers, working with professional speakers, working with individuals who've been in the industry for a long time. And it doesn't work out well for anyone. It can be very discouraging to your future as a speaker because you end up being battered and bruised by the entire experience. But here's a really interesting thing, something I've discovered through the last 15 years. The category that really matters is what I call the executive clueless. Now, I wrote about this trend for a couple of speakers bureaus that I work with. And what happens here is there's so many fast issues emerging in the world. There's so many fast trends. There's so many fast challenges that business organizations are faced with that what happens is they point at an executive assistant or a senior VP or somebody in the organization, and they say, go find a speaker. We're having this corporate leadership offsite meeting. We need someone who can come in and talk to us. We need someone to provide us some good insight into this particular issue. Go and find someone. Now, this individual, the executive clueless, they have no idea there's speakers bureaus. They have no idea there's professional speakers. They have no concept of what the fee structure is within the industry to find somebody who has a really good track record and really good insight. they simply don't know where to start. And what do? They go onto Google, they do a search, and Google becomes the tool by which they find someone. I actually love this type of individual because they will often find me because they're strategy focused. They're focused on a particular issue. They're focused on a particular requirement. They're focused on a particular trend. They're trying to deal with some disruptive reality, and that's what I do. I mean, look, I've recently changed the focus of my website to really highlight what it is I do by noting that, look, here's what I do. I help CEOs achieve their strategic objectives by aligning their organizations to a disruptive, accelerating future. What I found myself doing over the last 15 years is going into more and more situations where the CEO or a senior executive has some critical issue that they need to address. They pull together a meeting with as little as 2 weeks notice or 1 month notice or 2 months notice, and we need a topic expert to come in and assist us with this particular issue. This is what the executive clueless are booking. This is the type of situation that they're walking into. And a case in point, I was in Kansas City just 2 weeks ago with a global infrastructure firm with a talk on the future of infrastructure, water, energy, telecom, the highways, roads, and bridges. What happens when everything becomes connected, smart, intelligent, aware? What happens when construction methodologies change? What happens when the skills involved in this industry accelerate to a huge degree? What was happening here was the CEO was having a corporate offsite meeting with a very strategic purpose. He needed a professional who could come in and set the tone with a presentation to really get his people, his team thinking about what comes next. I think the industry is changing, and I think you as a speaker need to recognize that you might need to change with it and go through my list of the 10 types of bookers who are booking speakers and think about what you're encountering and what you might want to do to change up your branding, your message, and the way you're trying to reach out to folks. That's it for now. Futurist Jim Carroll from the Virtual Broadcast Studio.